Hey, what's up, guys? So here we are for round 3 of trying to make a billing automation system with AI. Yesterday we looked at the diy-bacnet server. This was just an application that we're running on the Raspberry Pi. Okay, I might just try and wing this video here without a lot of prep, so kind of bear with me if it's a flop. Oh well, sometimes you just have to keep on trying. Okay, so we're still in the vibe code app 8. So right now on the test bench, I am on the Windows PC here recording this video. We're also using VS Code and PowerShell. I have PowerShell running inside of VS Code with SSH, and we can directly SSH into the BAS Pi, which is just a stupid name I gave to a Raspberry Pi. Older B plus model, which we found out yesterday is too old to run some of the coding IDEs like Cursor, and also OpenClaw wouldn't even run on it either. But we can still play around with it. So we'll kind of have to do things a little bit the old-fashioned way of manually copy-pasting code into the ChatGPT or something like that, which is actually, it's not that bad. It's still AI-assisted software development, and it's probably better for learning anyways. But once you have like a full-blown Claude or Cursor, it just automates all that. So it's actually probably kind of a good way of doing things. So we talked about yesterday Flask. Excuse me. So Flask is a Python web app framework that's been around for a million years. It's probably 10, 15 years old, I bet. So it's a very mature framework. It's been around for a long time. It's very popular as a very thin, lightweight web app backend. Sometimes it's meant to not even have a GUI. It's just an API. People play around with it in data science applications. You can run a data science model. You can even make a full-blown web server with it, which is not very popular for that because it's kind of more lightweight. It's meant to be like a thin, lightweight. But it's really easy to use. It's beginner friendly, and it's probably kind of bulletproof. So it's kind of like a little bit legacy. It's kind of old, but it's might work fine for us to play around with the billing automation system. It's probably perfect for us to dabble with this first, and then we can get into more complicated frameworks later. The diy-bacnet-server, that's running a modern asynchronous web app framework called Fast API, which is more complicated. So the Backpipes 3 applications work very nicely inside of Fast API because it's all async IO code base, all asynchronous Python, and then this is all legacy kind of synchronous code where everything runs in a synchronous fashion one at a time. Then these are running in Docker containers. So this is one Docker container that we have running right now, and then this is another Docker container. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So we're when I have VS Code running right here, I'm on the Windows computer with SSH going right into the BAS Pi. Where we have this fired up already, this diy-bacnet-server, and then we'll make a Flask application that runs in its own Docker container as well. And then they'll communicate back and forth via JSON RPC, and then the Flask application from this Docker container will actually send us the HTML file. So when we want to browse into the building automation system, pretend it's a JACE, like a JACE will serve you HTML file if it's, has like the web server feature built into it. So it's kind of pretending it's that, like this is the JACE, and it'll serve you a HTML file. So we're pretty much kind of making like a soft JACE. So let's get started. So this was the DIY Docker container yesterday, where we played around with a little bit of the BACnet features here. This is basically has all of the read priority array, supervisory override checks which is something. It's basically a point discover with a reading priority array on each point, so you can check if the supervisory level logic, like an NAE or a JACE or some kind of supervisory level device in building automation, has points overriding. This will check a device for that. Read write, read multiple, who is. So it's basically all of the same thing that we've been doing along these tutorials, but it's built into a web app framework behind the scenes. And then this is also something where this app also hosts, let me just show you this real quick. So this is also the BACnet-server features. So if you wanted to make your own BACnet server, a discoverable BACnet device, you'd work with these endpoints through JSON. So like, this is it. This is actually the BAS Pi. I just named it ASDF for something quick, easy hack. And then these are the default BACnet points that this guy runs. And then you would actually update this via it's called JSON RPC. It's HTTP protocol. So like when we're in here, these two containers will actually talk back and forth via here. It's these routes. So like when we interact with it, we're doing the Pi is serving us a little HTML file, but we're kind of using the same features that these two guys will talk back and forth with. Okay, so let's test this out. So we have to authorize our diy-bacnet-server. So when you build this with Docker, where there's a Docker command, which we talked about yesterday, you just plop it right into the bash, and it'll make this .env file, which is just a little secret file here. So this is the file structure in the Raspberry Pi, and then it'll make this .env file, which is a very common kind of a secret file that you can keep passwords in and stuff like that. So we have a bearer API key that'll just build some security into this application that with this API key, we're authorized to use it. So let's just, I just like to test that out on the whois. So let's just make sure that we're still working here. Okay, so our whois worked. We can still see our BACnet devices coming up. The same thing that we got on here as well. So hopefully this makes sense. Like this is running on the Windows computer, and then all of the BACnet applications are running on the BAS Pi. So BAS Pi, that we just did the whois through the DIY BACnet Swagger, and then we're running the BACnet scan tool here. Remember, you can only run one BACnet application at a time on an operating system, because the operating system only allows one inbound port application to run at a time, which is BACnet by nature. Okay, so this is working. We're authorized to use this. So one thing maybe just to show you guys, so like we could read on our BACnet server. Let's just do a little demo how this works. So okay, so there might be a little bug here. Looks like there's an error in our schedule, but that's a new feature. I'll have to fix that. So this is our web weather right now. Looks like it's currently 22, 45, and 12. Let's check that out. So this is what you would do if you are using this application to read data from a BACnet server. Let's pretend we're a building operator, and then we'll just say the dry bulb in degrees Fahrenheit, let's say it's 111 degrees, which would be extremely hot. So it says that we wrote the value okay. And then let's try updating this again. There we go. So this is how you would get data into your application from the Docker container. So hopefully that makes sense. We're on the Windows computer here, and then through our BACnet discovery tool, we wrote to the BACnet server here for the 111 degrees, and then we verified that we got the data into the BACnet server. So when I gave the example yesterday of the chiller plant that uses this app as a BACnet gateway, that's how they use it with Node-RED. So in this application, this would be Node-RED right here, and my friend actually uses this application to get Modbus data from a chiller plant, Modbus RTU, to the chillers, and then the building automation system writes to the diy-bacnet the set points they want the chiller plant to run, or if the chiller plant's enabled from a building automation schedule, and then he reads that data into Node-RED to then make commands via Modbus RTU to the chillers, the same way that we read the data in here. It's called JSON RPC. It's kind of a common protocol to use for internal Docker container to Docker container purposes. I just noticed this bug to fix. Yeah, so I'll fix that. But okay, so where are we going with this? So we want to get our Flask application running on this Raspberry Pi. Okay, so I'm just kind of winging it here. So I'm just going to go to this BACnet applications stack playground. I'm just going to download a zip. I'm assuming most people could be downloading a zip. So I'm just going to go to, we could even do, let's ask ChatGPT to look at this zip file. So right now we're in the BACnet stacks playground. So I'm just going to have ChatGPT go into Vibecode app 8. So this is the Flask app that we talked about. I want to have it basically refine this a little bit into just that it's just going to be this Flask app, no Docker Compose. That's a little more complicated. So just the vanilla front end, the Flask app, and Docker only, and then have it return to me just a zip file of these files, and then we can shoot it over to the Pi via a secure copy protocol, SCP, and let's see if we can get it running. And then run some of the same tests that we did yesterday, where from the Windows computer, we validated that we're able to update the schedule. So like when we did our commands via JSON, we tested this. We did a read of the schedule. So yesterday we did a read of the schedule. We adjusted it too, and then we validated from our Windows computer that it took it. So let's do that again, hopefully with a working UI. Maybe while ChatGPT builds this application, we can just recap what we did yesterday too. Okay, so let's we have our zip file uploaded to ChatGPT. You could use any LLM. You could even use Cursor or whatever. But I figured this might be an easy example. Okay, so here we go. So let's do. I'm I'm hoping that this can be kind of model context that people will be able to build what they want, whatever they want. So I'm gonna say, oh no, shoot. Okay, so I accidentally hit the enter key. So let's just, okay, so it didn't go nuts, which is nice. So I'm just gonna say in that zip folder, I meant to do this all in one shot. Code app 8. Can you extract the Flask app and the vanilla front end only, please? Make sure it is put together nicely, and please modify any front end HTML that the app name, let's call it diy-bacnet, instead of anything vibe code app 8 related. It should be pretty close without too much modification, and I like how the JavaScript files are named for each BAS application for a front end, and please don't put CSS and JS in the HTML code, only import it, please. Let me download a zip file of the final product. No, let's see, let's make it no auth at the moment. No auth at the moment. So we'll get into that later. We'll make a login for it, but sometimes it's easier just to get the bare bones stuff working. Let me think about this. Ideally, there would be a config py file and a algorithms py file for any functions that we need to do in common supervisory level control, where on this test bench we have an HU BACnet controller and a VAV box, and we need to share outsider temp to a globally, which is common in building automation systems. So maybe we could make an easy Python script that would show that. And then what else should we do? So we will use the diy-bacnet-server as any bacnet, and please interact with it via JSON RPC. So I have to give it the, I'm just gonna copy this. I'm just gonna give it the is this is not, so that's the API key. This is not a web app on the internet, but just a test bench app behind the firewall. Sometimes if this was an internet-based app, the AI will be like, don't share that to me because it's a security issue, but we don't care. It's just like a piddly little app on a test bench behind a firewall, which is most likely all building automation systems. And then we just want to give it, okay, so like another thing cool about these backend frameworks, like the Fast API, it has an open API JSON file. So this is kind of shows everything about the diy-bacnet-server, which I can also feed into ChatGPT. This is the swag swagger of the diy-bacnet app. Maybe before this, please let me download a final app in a zip file for only the Flask app and the front end and Docker file, no Docker compose. Nothing else from the BACnet stacks playground repo is needed. This is the swagger. Alright, so ChatGPT will be able to use all of this information and the swagger, and okay, so this will probably take it a couple of minutes to build, its thinking, and then we'll be able to just download a zip file. Okay, yeah, look at it, it's pulling. Okay, so it's building it for us. I'm trying to think. So like maybe what we could do is go here. So what we demonstrated yesterday in Vibe Code app 6 or 4. Let's open this up in VS Code as well. So I'll have like 2 sessions of VS Code open. I'm just going to go to the Explorer, open up this current directory. See if I can zoom in. Okay, so I think this is a little better. Okay, so right now we see this, we're in PowerShell, we're in Windows, and then this other one, see this, we're in Bash. So we're inside of the Raspberry Pi, inside of the BAS Pi, so that's Bash, that's the Linux command prompt. And then this other session is PowerShell, which is Windows Terminal. If you go back to some of the earlier videos, we, this Windows Terminal, this app is pretty cool. So like from the Windows App Store, just install Windows Terminal. So this is actually running here for us. Okay, so if you guys remember, so let's just kind of think about this for a second. So like right now we only have this running, the diy-bacnet-server on the BAS Pi, and then the BACnet API, the BACnet server, we'll be able to see, let's just check it out real quick, the scheduling point. So that's what we want to read. So I'm going to close out of this because we can only have one BACnet application running at a time on the Windows. So we want to use our backpipe script to read that the diy-bacnet server. This is what we finished yesterday with. So let's just try it again. Okay, so the script does do a whois, and then it reads the BACnet server again. So this is on the BAS Pi. Yesterday we played around with kind of mimicking, modifying that right there. So let's just do that again. So we want to update the schedule. So I think what we figured out is like this would be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, so let's try that. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's just say 11/11 is when the building starts with a value of 0. And let's say 13:33, just to make it blatantly obvious. Execute. So it looked like it took. So just for a little recap, we're here. We're just updating the BACnet server for the diy-bacnet application, and then we're going to check from PowerShell that it worked. Let's run our PowerShell, our script from the Windows, just to validate that it took. I do not see that it took. Okay, so maybe we have a bug again for the diy-bacnet server. Maybe something needs to get fixed. Says that it took it, so let's read it. It didn't take it. Alright, so what's going on here? Execute. Oh, invalid parameters. Time. Oh, okay. So maybe that was my mistake. Okay, so yeah, it even gave me an error. So I must have accidentally fat fingered an extra 0. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay. 11/11 and 13/13. Okay, I took that. So then let's verify from our PowerShell side. Alright, so it did take that for Wednesday. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, guys. I know it's just kind of confusing, but like, so basically let's just get back to our schematic. So we just validated that through the backend Swagger, which is a backend testing tool for the Fast API diy-bacnet server, that we can implement a BACnet scheduling, and then we validated it from here. That when we updated this via JSON RPC through the Swagger backend web app testing tool, update the BACnet server, so like for a billing automation scheduling purposes, and then we validated it through here that the schedule took. So the next thing what we're going to do, knock on wood, is we're going to make a web app, and through the browser, the UI interface that we've been working on, this will do the same thing. So instead of us doing this through here, the Flask web app will actually be adjusting it back and forth. So we won't. So basically, in time, we won't need to do anything on the Boss Pi through the diy-bacnet server, because we'll be doing that through the Flask UI, which will be mimic more of like what a real billing automation system would look like. So, okay, this is getting a little complicated, but bear with me. It's kind of fun. I love this stuff. Okay, so now we could probably see if ChatGPT is done pulling this, the package, assembled it. Okay, so it thought through 7 minutes of my babbling about the other stuff, so let's download it. Did not add user auth, which is good. So, okay, so I think like these, like the large language models are getting better and better and better at building code, like really good at building software now. So I feel pretty confident just asking it to do this. that it'll get it pretty close. Okay, so what we want to do now is, so this is what I just downloaded right here, the diy-bas Flask vanilla. So I'm going to open this in PowerShell, another session of PowerShell, right in my downloads. I'm going to list all the files in there. Okay, so just to get back to our schematic, so we downloaded from ChatGPT onto the Windows computer, and then I'm going to send this zip file over to the Raspberry Pi into the host Linux operating system. So you can send files, you can send over whole directories through SSH with a protocol called Secure Copy Protocol. It's called SCP. So we're going to zip over our files to the BAS Pi. So this is it right here. So I'm going to go Secure Copy Protocol. Ben is my login. No, I think I need to go DIY tab complete. So you just tab it, type in a few characters and tab. So I'm going to secure copy protocol, this zip directory, and then I need to do my login for my BAS Pi. And then what I like to do is just copy this. This might work. Whoops, sorry. I'm over here. So this is my Linux login, and then this is the name of the computer. It's just BAS Pi. And I think I have to do a : / and then I have to do another. This is a zip. Whoops. I think I have to do a secure copy protocol. I think I have to do a -r. Might be doing something wrong here. Don't think this needs to be a -r is for secure copy protocol for an entire directory. I think I can just do, I think I need a tilde right here. Okay, that worked. I was missing this tilde feature. So this secure copy protocol, we transferred our zip file to the BAS Pi in this directory. Don't worry about if this seems really complicated. Just put this in the memory bank that you've seen this before in Linux command prompt. So I can close out of this PowerShell, and then back on the BAS Pi, I should be able to see these files. Yep. Okay. So here we go. So I think I should be able to. I think I can just do a command that says unzip diy-bas. Okay, so there we are. We unzipped it in Linux. So we should also be able to see that here. diy-bas. All right, so ChatGPT made this. Let's see, what did it build? So this is like a little, I can tell, I'm looking at these build commands right here. So it is actually making a .env key as well. Let's try this. Actually, I might do this. So I'm gonna remove the DIY zip because we don't need it anymore. We unzipped everything in here. So this is where we're at. We have the diy-bas and the diy-bacnet-server, Flask. Then this was fast API. So I'm just going to tell ChatGPT. Maybe I'll give it some more commands. Okay, so I'm just going to say, okay, so I have this on the BAS Pi and unzipped. Give it a command that the diy-bacnet-server is running. diy-bacnet-server is running. How to get the Flask app up and going. So I'm going to do env example. Okay, so interesting. So like I need this app to be on, it actually made another .env file, same, which I think is same for the BACnet server. No, it's not. Let's just try and run this. Let's see, so I'm just going to actually copy this, copy the path, so AI can see the path. That's its env file. How to run this app from Pi in a virtual env so I can dial into it remotely. I'll also set the diy-bacnet-server env bear key myself. Okay, so let's get a couple more instructions and then we can kind of see what does it look like. Thanks for bearing with me. This is kind of a daunting process, but I do think it is kind of getting one step closer to actually making a building automation system for free. It's getting better and better and easier. Some people that are experienced web app developers, this is probably like really basic to them, but okay, so it's saying to modify that, which we'll do in VS Code. Okay, so it looks like it should, according to these directions, it should be fine. When the web app is set to 0.0.0.0, that means that you can dial into it remotely, which is what we want. And then this will be on port 5050. As you can see here, the diy-bacnet-server runs on port 8080. So I guess 5050 should be fine. So the only thing I know I need to do is, so this is the security key currently for the diy-bacnet server. So we'll set this in here. I don't know why it's giving this, but it's our BACnet instance IDs for our air handling unit and our VAV box. Let's get to our handy dandy BACnet scan tool, which I've demoed 1,000 times already. I can already tell, like, we'll have to change this. Like, obviously in the future, we'll need an app that we want to do BACnet discoveries from. So, okay, so the famous 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the air handling unit. I have no idea what AI made right here, but let's just see if it works. With the diy-bas. Okay, So let's go to the fun part. So this will create Python virtual environment, which we've done a few times. We'll activate the virtual environment, use the pip, the package manager, to install the requirements inside the text file, which is very common Python way of like installing external environments, and then a run.py. Here we go. See what it does. This is where the magic happens. This Raspberry Pi is like a little bit older one, so it's not as fast as perhaps like a modern Pi 5. It's an old Pi 3B plus, but it's finally getting, so it's installing from the text file, the Flask. Okay, so it's doing a few things here. All right, so it worked. No crashes so far. So one thing with Flask, when it flashes its external IP address. So let's dial into it. Oh, look at that! Holy crap! Wow. Okay. Well, this is pretty cool. All right, so we do have a working dashboard, which we haven't even seen yet, but wow, so it's polling online. diy-bacnet-server is online. It says that's a device. Devices. Well, this will be fun. We'll be able to play around with this. Yeah, we'll just have to think of a few things to revise. Trends, alarm, schedule. Okay, so this is our schedule. So this is what I was talking about. Is what when I did we changed this to 11:11, and then this was 13. Actually, this isn't military time. This is standard time. Maybe let's test a no schedule. So like when we do a scrape of this application, we want to see that our BACnet point actually updated. Cool, so we'll really have to monkey with this. Save and push. Ooh, unauthorized. Okay, so we have a bunch of errors. Which is expected, but yeah, we have notifications, alarms, trends, points. Okay, so I think this will be something for us to play with. So I think I have about 8 minutes left of this video to keep it shorter than an hour. So let's just start. Yeah, let's just start debugging this with AI, I guess. Let's check the browser console. I'm just going to feed this back into ChatGPT. Browser fails I. I'm just going to say that just give it this information that the app boots. App appears to boot good. What else should we do right at the moment? Maybe we could just say that our diy-bas, it says it's online. We'll definitely need a better alarm console. So this will be like our dashboard. So what we want to do in a real building automation system is, the maintenance staff, they want to see sensor values, that their building looks okay. So we'll have to build that into here. Devices are online, points. refresh data. I don't see any ability to add points or remove them. Live API, refresh. Okay, well at least we have something to kind of play around with. Schedule does not update on the diy-bacnet server. Alright, so I have a feeling it's just going to be like a lot more debugging, but I have a feeling like we would okay, so we can also check diy-bacnet-server logs as well. Maybe just a couple more minutes of this so I think we'll probably actually just save this for another video. We're debugging right now. So this is WebSockets getting data from the HTML file to the backend and Flask. Okay, so maybe we'll save this actually for tomorrow. This is getting kind of deep into the weeds, so let's kind of recap what we did so far. Like we're on the Windows PC right here. We're SSHing into here, and then this appears to be pretty stable. We validated that the BACnet server updates points from our Windows computer. So we're running this guy, our point discovery tool, from here, and then we're reading and writing data to our diy-bacnet server. And then right now we're working on if the Flask application, that ChatGPT, can actually do the same thing. So like we need our Flask application to read and write data from here as well. So that's what we'll probably be doing a ton of debugging and then building a bunch of features. I have a feeling this will probably be like 2-3 series, at least two or three more hour-long sessions of kind of getting this built. But I feel pretty confident that if we've made it this far, we'll be able to keep on rocking. And then, this will get better and easier and easier. As soon as we can make one thing, it'll only get faster and faster. So, maybe follow along. Hopefully learn a few things on the side about web applications and Python. And yeah, we can make a soft JACE. I feel pretty confident. All the pieces of the pie are here. We just have to create it. So keep on following along. I'll try and do a little bit of this every day and record more videos. So until next time, kind of baby steps to our building a real soft JACE, soft supervisory level device, which is a building automation application. So hope you guys are liking this. Until next time, I will see you guys tomorrow.